What's up, everybody? I'm going for it on a Thursday here. I know I put one out on Monday, but the reason I put it out on Monday is because if you watched that video, you saw that I had one made last Friday, but I deleted it just because it was too negative. Um, so yes, there are two this week, but the only reason there's two is because there wasn't one last week. So I'm trying to work towards some consistency, and that consistency is going to come in doing this every Friday, every Thursday, sometime at the end of the week. But I wanted to get it done today because tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with a good bit of people at another location. So I just wanted to make sure that I got this done while I had the decent microphone in my hand and I'm not off my laptop computer. But this week, I think it's an inevitable topic. I got to talk about the Corona-Mania, coronavirus, the COVID-19. The reason why I have to talk about it is because, like I said, it's an unavoidable subject at this point. It is affecting everybody's lives, whether they have been infected or not. Because, I mean, at this point, most haven't. I think it's at around 130,000 people. I've been watching this thing on my phone. It's nuts. More so nuts how obsessed with this real-time tracker I have been versus the whole pandemic being nuts. That I can't speak on because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not the World Health Organization, so I can't talk on that. What I can say is that according to this, there's 128,000 people that have been infected. There are positive things to this. So the one thing that I always try to do is see the light at the end of the rainbow lately, and there was like a 56% out of that 120 something have already recovered. So it's not like this is something where people are getting sick and then not recovering from it. People are getting better. But I don't want to talk about the virus itself. I want to talk about the effect it's had on our world here and what it means for us, especially in mortgage. And then obviously as a father, somebody who's got a couple of kids in school, it definitely matters too. So, on a personal level, I haven't seen anything about the coronavirus that's really scaring me. I'm fortunate to be, a healthy younger guy, and by being that, obviously, the health scare isn't there for me. And I was actually just told by a realtor today that apparently the infection rate for children is extremely low, which I didn't know. So that's good. It gives me some peace of mind as a father to know that even if this thing were to become an epidemic and it were to become something that was an unavoidable thing where somebody's going to know somebody who's contracted the coronavirus, that my kids will be safe. That's the big thing. So I think obviously if you're part of the older generation, to take a little more precaution because it will affect the older, weaker immune systems more. But again, not a doctor. I'm not Dr. Oz. He's on there talking about it, not me. I want to talk about what it's done for me. So I'm really trying to not let it affect my real, everyday life because I've been pretty optimistic as to what is or isn't going to happen. What I think will happen with it. And I think that eventually it'll, the body does some wild things. I've seen my own body personally do some crazy things to recover from illness or during illness or I was even just telling my wife, I don't know if you noticed, I got a little bit more ink on my arm here as of yesterday. And I was telling her that it's like the fourth or fifth time this part of my arm has been touched by a tattoo needle. Because you can't. This shading took like 5 hours itself, 4.5 hours. So I have almost 24 hours into that arm, and my arm heals a whole lot faster every time. Like to a point where now it obviously don't show that to my tattooers, but it's in pretty good shape, and that was kind of weird to me that every time I get a tattoo in and around the same spot I already had one, it hurts nowhere near as much and it heals leaps and bounds quicker. But so I have faith that the body of any human who's healthy enough will easily adapt and not be affected by it. So I'm trying to not be that guy who says my kids can't go outside and to not go into public places, and we haven't. I mean, my son was just walking with his friends through the neighborhood to the ice cream shop where he's going to put his hands on the counter that everybody else has put their hands on and everything. Every now and then to make the joke, the kids, if one of the kids doesn't want to take a shower, you want to get that corona. I always say you're going to get that corona. But I mean, yeah, just consciously making sure that they're washing their hands. And I guess that's something you should be doing no matter what, because with or without the coronavirus, the flu still exists, and the flu sucks too. It's really wild right now to see like the travel bans that are happening with Europe and China, and Italy's on complete lockdown, right? That's my first thought went to what about like the American people who are on vacation in Italy, or the American people on vacation in Europe. If you're visiting the Eiffel Tower, are you stuck there now? Or because you can travel from England to the UK, can you just go to the UK and then travel home from the UK? I don't know. I don't understand that. I imagine maybe you have to do some sort of screening or something to allow that to happen. I don't know. But I'm just waiting. I have a feeling it's going to hit us hard soon. On a personal level, the NBA got suspended last night, and that hit me. I'm a huge basketball fan, but like at a local level, there's just been the talk and the precautions. There's been no cancellations of anything crazy. I know that I have some friends that have like schools that have been canceled for their children. That's got to be devastating, right? I mean, to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or to be, an aunt or uncle or grandma or grandpa who helps take care of the kids while mom and dad are at work. Well, now if the kids are always home, are mom and dad going to be able to still work? I mean, I'm very lucky this comes into the whole play of having the fortune of being able to work from a laptop. I can work at home if my kid's school gets shut down. That's cool for me. It's not going to be cool for anybody I'm working with, though. I mean, if they have to work especially if they're teachers. I've got teachers I work with. They shut down schools. What are they going to do? To me, the virus itself isn't what's scary. It's the thought of what's going to come with it. The shutdowns, the travel restrictions, even something as like the mass hysteria. Are people going to lose their mind? Because they may already. And I jokingly told my wife last night, fortunately we have ways to defend ourselves, and we're younger, more able-bodied people, that if things were to get super crazy, we'd be all right. But I wonder how far it's going to go before it stops. Is this going to be something where tonight when I get home and turn on the news, they're going to say that China has made a breakthrough and the 80,000 people that are infected there are all receiving a vaccine, or all receiving, not a vaccine wouldn't do any good, or like a cure or something. I don't know. Then you also, now I'm sitting here thinking, if this is kind of like the flu, which is like a hardcore, nasty cold kind of thing, and we're now finally focusing on what is a global issue with this virus, is it going to help? I mean, are we going to find a cure for the coronavirus that's also a cure for the common cold finally? So it could go a ton of ways, man. And it's weird. That's for sure. People buying up toilet paper like crazy. Here's a tip. Buy a bidet instead. You won't need as much toilet paper, right? We don't have any of that stuff. We didn't load up. I jokingly put on my Facebook that I found a case or pack of toilet paper in my trunk that I forgot I bought. That's true. So I guess I have that. But like, we don't have extra. My wife even asked, should like we go get extra groceries just in case they like shut down travel for some reason? They might. I feel like we have some time, and I feel like I've got woods close enough to my house that if it gets real bad, we're going to have some groundhog and some out of season deer for dinner. But, I don't know. That's the scary part to me, is what happens next. The virus can, I mean, if I got the virus tomorrow, my attitude wouldn't change. I would just, do what I can to nip it in the bud. But it's the things you can't prevent, like government shutdowns, and school shutdowns, and work shutdowns, travel restrictions, any of that stuff. It could very well, and this is the doomsday guy in me, it could very well put the world at halt for a while. And because of that, now we can go into the whole work thing with me. Because of that and all the confusion and the uncertainty of what's going to happen next, the stock market is bananas right now. It's gone up and down and up and down. And I think today they halted trading at like noon. And they did that last week as well. It dropped like 1,800 points. It's now down to almost like 20,000, which hasn't been that low in a few years, I think. And the stock market indirectly affects mortgage rates while directly affecting it. So the easy way to say it is, if the stock market's doing well, it's assumed and it's, shown that our economy is doing well. And if our economy is doing well, people have more money or have more savings. They have the ability to buy things more, so interest rates will go up. When the world is doing well, when America is doing well and people can afford things, they're not concerned about the mortgage rate, at least not as much. When investments are plummeting like they did today, or in general, if they ever fall, mortgage rates tend to fall with them, because they want people to still have incentive to buy. They want to say, look, yes, we understand the stock market's rough today and yesterday and the day before. So in lieu of that, we have to lower mortgage rates to incentivize people to still want to buy homes. And that has created a very frustrating week for people in my profession. For a handful of reasons. I mean, I have clients that I talked to last week that I have to come back to with my tail between my legs this week because rates went up. And that's the weird thing. So rates went up, but you said the stock market performs badly, rates get better, right? Well, that's traditionally what happens. But also what has happened for us is that because rates have gotten so low, there has been a massive boom of people buying and a massive boom of people refinancing their current mortgages. And by doing that, they're bogging down these banks. These banks don't have the ability to process all those loans. They don't have staff on hand to handle a refinance boom whenever it decides to hit. They can't predict that, so they're not going to hire 1,000 underwriters. They're going to hold on for dear life and try and get through this boom and see the other side as soon as possible. So what they did was, because they were either running out of money on their warehouse line of credit before they could sell the loans off to Fannie or Freddie or one of the big banks or something, they don't have the staff, so their underwriting times, they're looking worse and worse. What would take 24 hours to send something to an underwriter and get an answer back is now could take, I think I've heard people say that there's some banks that are doing 30 to 60 days in underwriting. I've gotten a month or two ago, I would have had one back the same day. So they're getting so busy that their choice was to hold on for dear life or to raise rates. And by raising rates, they slow down the business a little bit so they can try and keep their head above water. And that's what we're seeing right now in a lot of lenders. And it's been something on these brokers, on the Brokers Are Better group. It's been talked about like crazy. Where are mortgage rates going to go tomorrow? Why are they this high today? You know, there's a 1 point difference from last week to this week, and the market's 4,000 points less, whatever. It's been very frustrating because, like I said, it's not following the path right now. And that's because the banks are just choosing to charge a little more to say, look, if we're going to keep taking on new stuff while we have all this other super low interest rate refinances waiting in the wings here, we're at least going to make it worth our while. So they bump the mortgage rates up. Now I've got to call Joe borrower, Susie borrower, and say, hey, that 2.75 we were able to find you last week is now a 3.5 this week, and then that triggers the I'm going to call another bank, see what they say. And of course, get your second opinions. Always get a second opinion. But so then we're answering the same questions over and over again to these people that are confused, and it's funny to say because some brokers, some mortgage guys in this business right now are as confused as you are. So don't feel lost if you're on the end of this when it comes to wanting to refinance or buy a house or sell your house and you're not understanding what the mortgage industry is doing right now. A lot of the mortgage people don't understand what the mortgage industry is doing right now. And the other really big factor here in frustration, at least for me, if you are listening to this, if you are watching this and you are a realtor, please, 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 for the love of God, if you are going to talk about mortgage rates, quote or share the person's direct words. If you have your preferred lender or some bank professional, somebody that you've seen talk about mortgage rates and you want to trigger that same conversation on your Facebook, share their stuff or put, as Obie Hughes from Keystone Alliance says, mortgage rates are going wild right now. Here's why. Don't just say a blanket statement. Mortgage rates are as low as they've ever been. I saw just yesterday somebody put something about 2.75. This morning I heard somebody say something about, we should all start refinancing. These rates are in the twos. It's not that simple. Maybe they're in the twos because it's a 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. Maybe they're in the two because they have an 820 credit score and you've got a 650. You're not going to get a 2. There's a reason why compliance exists in our business for the realtors and for the mortgage professionals. I don't think, and this is putting myself out there on a limb here, I don't think any realtor would ever take too kindly to me trying to talk about their business in ways I shouldn't. So just don't do the same. You want info on rates, hit up your mortgage pro, whether it's me, whether it's, that retail lender down the road, whether it's the non-bank retail lender down the road, whether even ask Quicken. I don't care. Just don't blanket statement stuff. Yes, interest rates are still low. They are still lower than they were a month ago, I think. Right around the same. That they are definitely lower than they were a year ago. They are still very low. It is not 1986. We're not paying 15% mortgage interest rates right now. But rates are very moody right now. So my advice is, if you're on the realtor's end of things, if you're a title agent, if you're a real estate attorney, don't talk about rates right now. Leave that to us, because if you could end up putting your own foot in your mouth, you could end up being the one who has to backtrack what they've said. Quote us, share our things, and add your own to, write a post, share as post, and then you can write your own thing on top of it. But the direct words are still there from somebody who has to wake up in the morning and Google 10-year treasury note. Not what you see on housingwire.com, because they're going to put whatever triggers clicks. So be smart about how you post if you're a realtor right now. Even to just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Does this sound like something I should post or not? And if it does, post it. I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents. You might find that another mortgage professional out there will actively invite you to post about rates, and maybe it's because they know that you're gonna send anybody who asks you about mortgage to them anyways. But for me, I'm all about transparency. I'm all about the borrower getting the right information up front, not being sold on clickbait or sold on the idea of a super low rate that he may or may not get. And that's, again, why disclaimers and compliance exists. If we mention 20% down, we have to say what the loan amount was. We have to say what the credit score of that borrower was. We can't just say 20% down or 5% down or 3% down. There's way, way, way more to it than just a rate. Debt to income, loan amount, so much. So right now, this week, while also handling the business of everyday mortgage profession, we're also answering a ton of questions about the stock market and mortgage rates and why was that, 3.75 last week, now a 4.5. Ask Wall Street. Ask anybody who's affecting stocks and bonds the way they are. They'll give you an answer, but who knows who's right at this point? That coronavirus is shaking up everybody. And like I said, I don't think this is a world ender by any means. I don't think this is something that's going to crush us, but I do think that it's something we can't avoid at this point. I watched this from, I think there was like 4,000 or 5,000 people who had it whenever I started to actively watch what was happening. And now it's up to, like I said, it's probably 130,000 at this point. And the whole time I've been wondering, like, what's going to happen to people mentally more than I am physically. Like, because we can panic, man. Look at us on Black Friday. When you walk into a Walmart on a Black Friday trying to get a $250 60-inch TV, and you might get an elbow thrown in your face because Melissa behind you here wants that TV, and oh my God, I might not get it. Now she's throwing bows like Hakeem Olajuwon in the paint. And now you present her with the coronavirus, COVID-19. 5,000 people have died and 130, and now you're talking actual life. People will do wild things. They'll bail out of all their stocks. They will pull out all their money and put it in a bunker. And maybe they'll be the ones in a year laughing at us. Maybe. Or maybe they won't. And maybe we should just continue living a life as best as we can where we wash our damn hands. I don't know. Again, I'm not Dr. Oz. I don't have an answer to that. But like I said in the last episode, or whatever we're calling, I guess we'll call it an episode. I like the idea of having a Mr. Rogers moment of every one of these videos. So I guess our Mr. Rogers moment for this video, as we hit almost our half an hour mark that I want to stay on, is to have faith in humanity, have faith in the world, have faith in the fact that when people are presented with the most trying of times is when they also tend to show their strongest assets. And they show their strongest bonds and their strongest strengths. You look back at September 12th, 2001, and you'll see a day where while America was crippled 24 hours prior, the sales of American flags spiked. our unity was stronger than ever. Have that faith. Trust that, our doctors and our scientists and our politicians know what's best for all of us. And this, I probably shouldn't even said politicians, because now we go into this left and right thing. But ultimately, this is an America thing. And, Trump went on to TV last night with a much calmer attitude than he normally would have. And I think that shows that regardless, he kind of pointed fingers here and there. He threw shade. It's Trump. He's going to still throw shade. But I think he at least voiced and showed that this isn't about a left or right. This is about America. This is about the world. Have your faith. I love being able to help someone when they're in need. If I have the ability to help someone. And I know I'm not the only one. So wash your hands. Have your faith. The stock market will never crumble to pieces. America will always be one of the strongest nations. I have faith that that is the case. And from the mortgage aspect of things, there's no better debt than real estate debt. Nothing else gains you equity. Real estate will always be the best investment, no matter what the stock market looks like. Remember that. So yeah, Mr. Rogers, moment of the day here. Have faith in the world. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in our medical and scientific breakthroughs. And have faith that we as a people will pull together and figure our way through this, whether it's a justifiable hysteria or not. And keep on keeping on. That's all I got to say. I know that I didn't want to harp on mortgage too much on some of these, and I think I didn't here. I talked about how it's going to affect me or may affect us too, so I think I'm pretty middle of the road here. So let me know what you think. Let's do that. Let me know what you think when it comes to COVID-19. Do you think it's... We'll do this. We'll stay positive. When do you think COVID-19 will no longer be a worry like it is now? Will it be a month from now? Will it be 6 months from now? Will it be a year from now? Will it be a constant worry? Is it a new cancer? Is it a new AIDS? Is it a new Ebola where it's something... Ebola had a 50% death rate. We might want to reel that one in. Yeah, give me your opinion. I want to hear. I'm curious. No politics. Don't, just like I said, if you're in mortgage or if you're in real estate, don't quote mortgage rates if you haven't consulted a mortgage professional. If you're not a doctor or a scientist, don't start throwing out numbers. Oh, this death rate, mortality rate, infectious rate doubles every 4 days. No. How long do you think this will be at the forefront of medical concern? That's my question to you. So we'll leave it at that. Like I said, have faith. We shall overcome. We'll be good. We'll rock out. And as always, invest in real estate. It is the best debt you can ever have in your life. So at that note, we are 29 minutes into this video. And if you are still listening, you give a damn what I have to say. And I appreciate you for it. Bye.